Okay. Can everyone see the screen? Perfect. Yeah, so James said it perfectly. This is the second part of our training. Part one was last week with Dr. Melissa. So this is our sales execution training, more focused towards sales. Really, the idea is twofold here. It's to take that information, right? It was a lot of information, product, clinical information, and turning it into really a sales pitch, an elevator pitch, a framework for you guys to review and take the most important information there and turning it into something we can speak to effectively about Nutrafol. And second portion of it, we'll go over some administrative information, the order form, some IFU questions, handling some objections that we see commonly. Let's see what else. We'll go over some competitor information, competitive matrix, and yeah, so just a good comprehensive training that's very sales focused. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get started here. So quick intro to the team. This is our sales leadership team. So on the left, we have Kelly Ferrari. Not sure if she'll be able to join today or not, but Kelly is our chief sales officer. So she is our fearless leader, and she has a ton of experience in the aesthetic industry, leading sales teams at the highest levels with Allergan, Syneron, Candela. So she was brought in here to really grow the professional channel. And so we're all excited to kind of follow her lead. And that's Aisha Carey on the right. Aisha can't make it here today, but she's my counterpart in the West. She is our director of all the Western states of the US and runs our sales team out there. And I'm our East sales director. Clearly this is an older photo before I started taking Nutrafol, of course. But actually, yeah, I was a little bit younger there. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and continue here. So this is really the crux of the presentation, and it's 3 slides here, and it's really taking the information we learned previously, a lot of that science and product information, and turning it into that elevator pitch. So this would be the ideal high-level Nutrafol elevator pitch if a doctor or a provider didn't really know much about Nutrafol. This is a good write-up to really review and focus on. And I'm going to read through it, and then I'll go over kind of what is most essential here. So Nutrafol is a physician-formulated nutraceutical that multi-targets root causes affecting hair growth, including hormones, stress, environment, metabolism, and nutrition. We saw a need in the market to address these root causes with clinically effective, drug-free, natural ingredients. Nutrafol created the Synergen Complex and Synergen Complex Plus, a combination of botanical ingredients shown to improve hair growth and thickness. All 3 formulations contain 5 core ingredients. So I'm going to go over kind of what is most important here and really the bold words here. So physician formulated is important to Nutrafol because one of our founders, Dr. Kogan, is a medical doctor, and we have a team of naturopathic doctors on staff. They work together with a lot of the leading thought leaders in the industry to really come up with our formulations. So you'll see physician formulated used a lot when we describe our product. You'll also hear multi-targets. We know it's not just genetics and aging that cause hair loss now. It's hormones, stress, environment, metabolism, and nutrition. So that's really our approach, and that's what we're all about, is that our products and ingredients multi-target some of those key triggers of poor hair health, like those 5 that I just mentioned. And that actually differentiates us from some of our competitors on the market who are more narrow focused, right? That just focus possibly on the nutrition component or just a biotin, let's say. We really have our Synergen Complex down below that has all of these ingredients that really correlate to each one of those key triggers. These next 3, really important, really what Nutrafol is all about in the most general sense. Clinically effective. We have clinical studies that showcase its therapeutic effect. And we put a lot of time and effort into our research. We're a very scientific driven company. So clinically effective is important, drug-free, right? It's not minoxidil or finasteride. There's no potential risk of some of those side effects. And also these natural botanical ingredients. Next, Synergen Complex and Synergen Complex Plus. So that's the name of our ingredients from our core formulations, right? The men's, the women's, and the women's balance. That's just the name of the ingredients that we came up with, containing those botanical ingredients. And all of our formulations have the Synergen Complex And the Synergen Complex Plus is actually in the women's balance with those 2 extra ingredients, the maca root and the astaxanthin. So that's just the Synergen Complex Plus. So really, this is the slide where we would start our pitch and just going, really, what is Nutrafol? Where do we start here? This is the most effective way to speak to it. And then we ended here with the Synergen Complex. Now let's go from general to more ingredient focus. So a lot of information on this slide. Similar to our clinical and product training last week, definitely recommend reviewing all of that information. It's really good stuff. I definitely recommend reviewing this slide. But for the purposes of this training, I'm going to stick just to the ingredients on the left. Those are our Synergen Complex ingredients and our core formulations. And then in blue, you'll see those key triggers of hair loss that each ingredient correlates to. My recommendation, definitely memorize these ingredients and memorize the triggers in blue that they correlate to. That's the best thing you can do to really get down the ideal Nutrafol pitch. So let's go over it. So we have ashwagandha for stress, curcumin for inflammatory response, saw palmetto for DHT or for hormones, tocotrienols for that oxidative stress from the environment or those reactive oxygen species, and marine collagen for that hair nutrition to the follicle. One thing I do want to point out, our marine collagen, I know Melissa went over this, from North Atlantic cod, from some of the cleanest waters on Earth in the North Atlantic there. And I mention that because it really differentiates us from some of our competitors. And I know Cheryl will go over that. But like Viviscal has marine collagen, but that's really their only main ingredient. And they get theirs from shark, which is endangered. And ours is much more sustainable, much more thoughtful, going towards North Atlantic cod. And also shark has much potential higher levels of mercury compared to North Atlantic cod. So some interesting tidbits there. I wanted to point that out, and I know Cheryl will go into that more. But again, I just want to highlight, definitely an important slide to learn the ingredients and to what the key triggers are that each one correlates to. It'll help you kind of create that framework, create that memory palace in your head to really present Nutrafol in the best light. Last sentence there kind of ties everything together, really what those ingredients do as a whole. I know Melissa last week went over the hair cycle, right? Anagen phase to catagen phase to telogen phase. So this kind of ties everything to how these ingredients work on that hair cycle. So hormone, stress, metabolism, environmental factors, and nutrition can disrupt the hair growth cycle. So our ingredients in Nutrafol have been shown to promote hair growth and reduce shedding by targeting these underlying causes. So this is the ingredient slide. And then next, we'll go into, this is kind of the final slide for the pitch. We'll go into the actual products, right? The actual formulations that we have. So we went general, what is Nutrafol? Then we went ingredients and those key triggers they tie to. Now let's say what formulations we have, what products we have. We have the men's, which are targeted towards men and have that extra dose of saw palmetto because men have more testosterone. We have the women's product for women with thinning hair. And the focus there is really on that ashwagandha for stress and marine collagen. And the women's balance with that Synergen Complex Plus. It's got those 5 main ingredients, plus maca, which is for the sex hormone regulation, and astaxanthin, which is a really potent antioxidant. And the men's and the women's, those 2 products have that extra saw palmetto for different reasons. The men's product has it, like I said, we have extra testosterone. For the women's balance, I know Melissa went over this, women, postmenopausal women, which is what the women's balance product is for, have that relative androgen excess, where testosterone is actually at a higher level than estrogen and progesterone. So the saw palmetto helps counteract that androgen excess. So these 3 slides are really the crux of this presentation, and what you can take from this is really a focus on reviewing these 3 slides to create that ideal pitch. So we would go from the general to the ingredients and then to the core formulation products. So this is a nice visual slide, kind of goes over what the ingredients are for each formulation product for the women's, the men's, and the women's balance. And you'll see here that the men's and women's, like I mentioned, have that extra saw palmetto. And then the Women's Balance has that maca root and that astaxanthin. So here we have some brand claims, and you are absolutely safe to speak about Nutrafol with these terminologies. They're 100% factual. They won't get you in trouble. And this is really what our brand is all about. Not going to go over every single one here, but just the two most important ones are probably the top two. So hair wellness from within. We say that a lot here at Nutrafol. It's really kind of our unofficial tagline. So just know that it's really, it's what we are. It's hair wellness from within. And the second one there, personalized natural supplements to improve hair wellness. That's important. It's another differentiator from our competitors. It really allows a doctor to take that consultative approach with patients because we have that Women's Balance for postmenopausal patients. We have the women's product, we have the men's product, we have the hair biotic product, and potential more boosters coming out in the near future. So it's really personalized, and some of our competitors don't have that full product portfolio. Give you a couple seconds here, just kind of review some of these bullet points, and then I'll move on to the next slide. All right. So here are some additional claims. Again, take some time, review this. I'll just speak to a couple of these. All natural, 100% natural. We claim we have natural ingredients. We can't claim all natural because some of the ingredients through the extraction process, natural implies that it's in its natural state, natural molecular state, and through the extraction process, some of these products, some of the molecules are just changed and denatured a bit. So we can't claim technically all natural, but we are a natural product with botanical ingredients. We're lactose-free and shellfish-free, which comes into play with the competitor information we'll go over. I know Eclipse, Votess, and Viviscal have dairy allergies, have shellfish allergies, so that's important there. No animal byproducts or vegan, we don't claim that because of that North Atlantic cod. And also no sodium there because we do have trace amounts of sodium ions that are attached to some of the molecules just to stabilize them. So we don't claim no sodium there. But yeah, take another couple seconds here and just review this information.
It still checks a lot of boxes though.
It does.
Yeah.
A lot of good information there. So let's go into our hair biotic booster product. And I'm going to go ahead and read through this. And then same way I did with the core formulation, I'll just point out what is of utmost importance and what to really focus on here. So with hair biotic, Nutrafol formulations are designed to promote hair growth, multi-targeting disrupted pathways involved in thinning hair. Nutrafol launched Hair Biotic, a targeted booster formulation focused on supporting gut health as it relates to hair. The impact of stress, overuse of antibiotics, poor diet, and natural aging affects our gut microbiome. These triggers result in increased gut permeability and poor absorption, which can compromise absorption of Nutrafol core products. Compromised gut permeability can also cause a low-grade inflammatory response, which is itself implicated in hair thinning. Hair Biotic is formulated with 7 probiotic strains known to improve the integrity of the gut and nutrient absorption as these relate to hair. So again, we start here in this first paragraph with same way we did with the core formulation, right? We go general into the actual triggers, and then what does Nutrafol do? So generally, what is Nutrafol, or what is Hair Biotic? It supports gut health as it relates to hair, right? That's the overarching idea behind Hair Biotic. Then we go into, well, what are the triggers here? You have antibiotics, poor diet, stress. These all affect your gut microbiome. And what happens? You get gut permeability, poor absorption, and low-grade inflammatory response. And these 3 things can affect your hair and can cause hair thinning and poor overall hair wellness. So Hair Biotic has that prebiotic bacteriophage and the 7 probiotic strains that I know Dr. Melissa went over that improve the integrity of the gut and nutrient absorption. So a large focus, and what I would hope your takeaways from this, the focus would be really nutrient absorption. That's the best way to present Hair Biotic as a synergistic team up with our core formulation products. It really helps with absorption of our core formulation and helping with that gut microbiome. So similar to that other slide where we had a lot of those bullet points, and again, more product information, more clinical information, this is more product and clinical information. I'll go over here, but definitely a good slide to review. So we have those 20 billion CFUs of 7 probiotic strains specific to hair health. Those were chosen because they have shown therapeutic efficacy for hair health. And I know Dr. Melissa went over a good amount of this. We have that prebiotic bacteriophage to help clear out that bad bacteria that contributes to dysbiosis. And the prebiotic is non-fiber, which doesn't cause typical upset stomach or gassy feeling. And then you have, like I said, the probiotic strains, which is really that infusion of 20 billion CFUs of those 7 strains. We have acid-resistant capsules, which really helps the pill get down into the small and large intestines and fight off some of that stomach acidity. And also, I know Dr. Melissa mentioned that you don't have to refrigerate our hair biotic bottles. It's because of this double-chambered desiccant bottle. It really wicks away some of that moisture, so you can just keep it on the shelf. You don't have to refrigerate it, which is a nice little selling point of the hair biotic, because I know some of these probiotic products out there, you have to refrigerate. All right, so that's really the crux of the presentation with the elevator pitch, sales pitch, how to take that information and really what to utilize to create that framework to really present Nutrafol and really come up with your own unique elevator pitch. And that information really would help you create your ideal Nutrafol pitch when speaking to your doctors, speaking to your providers. And I think it's nice how we present it more from the general, then the ingredients, and tying it back to the triggers, and then the specific formulations. So, like an ideal pitch would be, hey doc, Nutrafol is a physician-formulated nutraceutical that multi-targets some of those key triggers of poor hair health. We know it's not just aging and genetics, but it's hormones, it's metabolism, it's stress, it's the environment, it's nutrition. So we've created a product that's clinically effective, that's drug-free, and has natural ingredients. And we created the Synergen Complex and the Synergen Complex Plus, which has these 5 core ingredients. You have ashwagandha for stress, you have saw palmetto for DHT and hormones, you have curcumin for inflammation, you have tocotrienols for that reactive oxygen species and oxidative stress, and then you have marine collagen for the nutrition component of that follicle. And then with those 5 ingredients in the Synergen Complex Plus, it comes in 3 formulations. You have the men's, the women's, and women's balance, which is for those postmenopausal patients dealing with some of the relative androgen excess. So that would be it. I mean, that's your ideal pitch right there for Nutrafol. So so now let's kind of pivot here from the sales pitch portion to more administrative information. So let's go into some of our SKUs. So these are our 3-packs. And you see we have the men's, the women's, and the women's balance. And this is a 3-month supply. So 1 bottle is 1 month supply, has 120 pills per bottle. So this is 360 nutraceutical pills. It's 4 per day. And this 3-pack retails to a patient for $199. And wholesale, the cost to a clinic would be $100. And we like to focus on the 3-pack because this is exclusive to our professional channel. This cannot be found online, it cannot be found on Amazon, won't be found on Nutrafol.com. This is exclusive to your doctors. And the price point there, $199, if you break it up, divided by 3, it comes out to $66 per bottle. That is the best price that you will find really anywhere for Nutrafol. It's typically $89 per bottle online. So we like to focus on the 3-pack for its pricing, its exclusivity to the channel. Also, we tie it to our clinical studies. Our study in the JDD, we saw most efficacious results 3 months and beyond, really 3 to 6 months, including less hair shedding, hair coverage, shine, texture. So really, this 3-pack promotes patient regimen compliance. And we really want to see the best results for these patients. We would rather have a patient start off with a 3-pack than an individual bottle. And also, it's really the doctor's reputation when they're presenting Nutrafol and promoting Nutrafol, and they want patients to have the best chance to succeed We wouldn't want to see them have a bad review if a patient just tries 1 month supply and they don't get that full effect that we see in our studies at 3 months and beyond. So really, we tie it to our clinical studies, patient regimen compliance, and it's the best pricing anywhere. Next, we have the individual bottles. So they retail for $79 each to a patient. And again, online, it's $89. So to the professional channel, $79 per patient. Wholesale cost to a clinic, $39.50. So it's that same 100% margin. So it's basically double the cost is retail, and they get the doctors and providers get 100% margin. And again, like I said, 120 capsules per bottle, so 1 month supply. We recommend taking it with the fattiest meal of the day. So something, it says there, avocado, peanut butter, something heavy oil content, we recommend taking with. So don't take on an empty stomach. Does contain that North Atlantic cod, doesn't contain soy, shellfish, gluten, binders. And and we recommend taking 6 months and beyond. And next we have the hair biotic. So again, it's that 100% margin. So it retails for $40 and wholesales to a clinic for $20. Unlike our core formulation, it's 1 per day, not 4 per day. So there's 30 capsules in there. We recommend taking 1 per day. Does not have to be taken with a meal, a little bit different there. And same thing, recommend taking 6 months and beyond and taking with our core formulation products. So here is our order form. And I believe we sent this to Curtis and James, and I hope everyone has this. If you don't, just let us know. We can always send more copies over to you. But pretty self-explanatory, but just to highlight it, whenever you fill out this order form for a new account, we would just need practice name, physician name, fill out the specialty of the doctor there. You'll see the 3-packs listed on top. Again, that's just a reminder to really focus on those professional 3-packs. Promotes that regimen compliance, and you guys will make more money too. And just really, that's the main product we want to focus on there. One other thing you'll see is marketing materials. We can always include marketing materials, our counter cards, our brochures, free of charge. So definitely a nice little tidbit to promote with our products. And you see that there. We would also, like other forms, we would need bill to, ship to, and credit card information. And if it's a larger hospital system, anything multi-location, let's say 5 locations and more, we can do net 30 terms invoicing if needed, but majority of our clinics we work with are all utilizing credit card for payment. And then again, on the left here, kind of goes to what I spoke to before with that professional 3-pack, tying into those clinical studies and offering the lowest price per bottle.
Do you have a form for terms, or is it just based off of approval through you guys?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's really just based off of approval.
Yeah, that's okay. That's how we do it too already. I just didn't. Some companies have like fill this out, give us some references, all that. So just so if anybody has any questions about it, we can get them directed. So no problem.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It's based on our approval, and I know it's something we're looking to build out even more as we grow, but I know that's something, it's a good question for Marissa Matson, who's our manager of professional business services. I know she would work with our finance department and get them set up. So we would just kind of pass it over to them. But there's not too much to it there. It's a pretty simple process. It's just, I know that we're really trying to steer accounts more towards payment on credit card. It's just easier for everyone. And here's our reseller agreement. So again, it goes with our order form. Any new account you bring to Nutrafol, they would just need to sign this reseller agreement. I encourage you all to kind of take a look through it, read it. Won't go over the whole thing here, but really the 2 highlights are, it just says we don't want them promoting on Amazon, on Google, doing any SEO marketing and selling on any of those platforms. And also we wouldn't want them selling online if they do have their own store at a price below our MAP policy, our minimum advertised price. So those are the 2 main things there. Those are the takeaways, but we would just need them to sign this. And so submit this with the order form when you add a new account. And here's our physician finder. So it's a nice tool. You can find most of our accounts on there. So if anyone's curious to know who we're already working with, you can go to our physician finder online. And just for you guys to know, at the end of every month, we refresh this and add all of our new accounts onto our physician finder. So it's a nice marketing tool to promote and let your accounts know that they will be added to our Nutrafol Physician Finder, and it helps that cross promotion. It helps really get their name out there, and really just another way we can go above and beyond for them. So yeah, just a nice little tool to go over here. And this is our direct-to-door program. So we had some requests for this prior to the pandemic, but actually the recent pandemic created an opportunity to launch this direct-to-door program. So it's basically an e-commerce platform for our professional channel where any account wouldn't need to carry actual physical stock, actual tangible product. We would create a microsite for each individual account, and then they can market their website, which is basically a store for their account, and market it on social media, market it through emails, and we provide them that material on this DocSend. So really it's for any account that doesn't want to carry stock. Maybe they're just, because of the pandemic, they're not fully open yet, they're not at full capacity, they're just a little weary of adding Nutrafol right now because they don't want to start with tangible product right now in a new company. So, some of your accounts definitely you'll want to promote just having product. It's our tried and true method. Most of our accounts just purchase product and put it on their shelf and promote to patients in the office. But this is a new program that we've launched, and it's a nice opportunity to take some conversations that you see going down that path. Nice option to have, where if an account just for whatever reason would not want to carry stock, you can go down the path and promote this direct-to-door program. And and so now we'll move on to competitor overview. And this actually ends my portion of the presentation. And I'll jump back on later for questions along with Cheryl, but I'm going to turn it over to Cheryl Berkowitz, who again is our clinical research manager. So really great scientific mind, but also helps develop some of our competitor information, some of our collateral for the sales team. So she put together some of these slides and she'll go over some of the competitor information.
Thanks, Matt. So we wanted to put something together that was going to be a little bit visual. I'm very much a visual person, so I hope some people can actually appreciate kind of taking a look at this. And really what we wanted you to see here, and what I want you to focus on with this slide, is pull your eyes honestly all the way to the right. So you'll see here essentially Nutrafol and the Nutrafol advantages, right? So the way we built this out too was, if you don't remember what those advantages are, you can just essentially look right to the right and you'll be able to see the description here. So when we were comparing, so anybody who's selling in the field now, you'll probably maybe see one name that probably looks familiar, the Viscal, and then actually Eclipse has a hair supplement as well as they came up with. I'm sure everybody has seen them in the market maybe for a different product, but they also have a hair supplement. So Hush and Hush is another product that we see popping up here and there. They're a little bit more embedded into the salon space though. And you're going to actually see on the next slide a few other supplements that you may run into, but they're going to be, some of these are more salon focused. So some of the real advantages that I want you to focus on here, one is our personalized approach with the product, right? So with Nutrafol, we are really targeting specifically both gender and age, right? So we have our women's, which we learned about, formulated for women. We try not to say an age range, but sometimes you'll hear, kind of that 40 and below. And then we have our women's balance, which is going to be for your perimenopausal and postmenopausal woman. And then we have our men's formulation, as well as, don't forget, the hair bionic. So, which is, Matt kind of covered this a little bit before, and then you also learned about it the previous week. So we're really bringing this personalized approach, right? You have this product for both men and women. We also are diving deeper into some of these other areas, of these other organ systems that also affect the body. And then from there, no additives in our product. You will see some other companies will have things like cellulose and a number of different additives. If you can't read the label and you don't know what the label is saying, those are going to kind of be your additive sections there, right? So pay attention to that when you're looking at your label. Side benefits. So Nutrafol from our ingredient studies, since we have so many ingredient studies, we've seen a reduction in stress, improved energy, better sleep, better libido. You're going to see a nice amount of side benefits. As well as something that I honestly saw first from taking Nutrafol was my nails were growing so much faster. That was a huge thing that I personally noticed, and obviously everybody's a little different. And then sustainably sourced, so we did talk about this. This is going to be a big differentiator between us and Viviscal, right? So they're going to definitely be our biggest competitor in the field that you're going to come across. And so that's one of the advantages with our product. We are sustainably sourced. So we are taking essentially the scales of the cod. So they were going to be disposed of anyway. And we are taking the scales where Viviscal, obviously they're not using cod. With theirs, they're using shark, so a larger fish, also endangered, and in addition to that, high mercury, which you learned about as well last week. And then I kind of want to take you down a little bit further to something else, obviously that is very near and dear to my heart, which is clinical research. I could talk about that for quite some time. So anybody who wants to have a conversation with me about that, I'm more than happy to. With our product formulation, we have a published study on our women's. You should have been sent our publication list as well. If you weren't, we will get that to you. And then we have a case series as well on our product. And then what we call our perception studies. These are our studies that we do that are more marketing based. Essentially, we're reaching out, viewing these patients either 6 or 9 months on the product subjectively. So getting a number of questionnaires and having expert graders review these hair photos for these studies, as well as we currently have a few ongoing studies right now too on our men's formulation, as well as we have a study on our women's balance formulation. So we will have, in addition to all of our clinical ingredient studies, we will also have studies on our core formulations. And then something else I want to point out here is the multi-targeting. Again, really honing in here on Viviscal. This is a huge differentiator between us as well, where we're targeting that multi-targeting. With the Viviscal, they're only targeting that nutrition component. So big differentiator. You can't really see it in the fine print, but where it says standardized ingredients, we do have the most standardized ingredients. Depending on the formulation, it's either 7 or 8. And if you remember from Melissa's talk last week, standardization is important because this is where you're going to get that consistent bioactive dosage. Remember where I don't remember what medication she talked about, but if you're taking 10 milligrams of Xanax, you're taking, in that dose, you are getting 10 milligrams, right, from a pharmaceutical company. Supplement companies do not have to do the same thing. However, Nutrafol, we go above and beyond. So we have 7 to 8 of our actual botanicals that we use are standardized. So we know that we're taking the most potent part of that plant. And this is going to assure that reliability and efficacy of the product. I know that this is a lot of information on this slide, but obviously as a sales tool, this is going to be quite important to you. Next slide, Matt. All right, so another visualization, because I just love them. So here, really, I think this is going to be great. So just to give you an idea about your axis here. So when we're talking about this broad view, you may see this, or you'll definitely notice it after. When we're talking about a broad view, these are the companies that are kind of claiming they help with everything with hair. We're talking strength, thickness, shine, coverage. They're really claiming to do a lot. They have a very wide array of what you're going to see on their websites, on their marketing material, where you're going to also see some companies have what we consider a very narrow focus, right? So for example, Viviscal, our biggest competitor, they're very narrow. If you look, they're going to cover a lot with growth and thickness, and that's all they're going to touch upon. They're not going to go into shine and texture and all of these other hair growth claims. They're very narrow focused. So when you take a look at Nutrafol, we're kind of in the middle with our focus. We are a little bit higher in that price point, right? So why? Well, one, we have high quality, which we talked about. So we have those ingredients that are standardized. We also have our ingredients that are bio-optimized. So if you don't really remember this, is essentially to ensure that when it's bio-optimized, it's giving you the best absorption. Medical grade, so Matt, I know Matt covered that, and so did Melissa, Dr. Melissa, and we're 100% drug-free. We do talk a lot about those 5 core ingredients, but we actually have 21 ingredients in our formulation. So if you take a look at the back of the label, you can also see you're gonna get vitamin A, you're gonna get vitamin C, D, biotin, zinc, selenium. There's a lot in our formulation. We have that multi-targeting, so we're not a mono-targeted. We're kind of, for example, I'm sure everybody, if you think about a pharmaceutical, for example, minoxidil, it has when it was approved on the market, it was approved for, it's a vasodilator, essentially. That one indication, or finasteride, Propecia, it's a DHT, it reduces that DHT conversion, where with Nutrafol, we're really targeting those 5 root causes. Also, we're clinically tested. So there is a reason behind our price point, right? We didn't just kind of pull it out of a hat there. Next slide, Matt. All right, so some common questions. So these are some that come our way. One that I heard a lot when I was actually doing a lot of conferences before COVID and the pandemic is this concept of biotin. So essentially for years, physicians have been recommending biotin to their patients who suffer from different forms of hair thinning. I'm sure we've all taken biotin, or someone we know has taken biotin. It's kind of the the end all be all for hair, nails, skin. They claim a lot. And a lot of this hype honestly comes from a lot of the social media components to it, marketing and advertising. It's really essentially glamorized this concept of biotin. But really to date, there's been no clinical studies showing biotin alone, right? That's important, right? Alone to be effective for hair thinning or hair growth. Except for essentially biotin is really, the only studies they've really done is biotin for people who have a deficiency, which is, just so you know, extremely rare to have a biotin deficiency. And so you learn from Melissa's training, we do have biotin in our product, right? I'm not saying biotin is not good, but the idea of biotin alone is where the problem comes from, because but again, biotin only does this one little piece of the puzzle. Really, what is going on when somebody has hair thinning is multifactorial. We know this concept to be true now, and so this idea of biotin, just you could take biotin and you'll have great hair and hair growth. It's not a true concept. However, biotin in combination with other botanicals has been studied. It's just alone. There was actually a great article done in 2017 on biotin, if you're interested, by Jerry Shapiro and some of his colleagues. I would highly recommend taking a look at that. And then biotin, just another perspective for you that you will get on biotin is you may have a doctor say to you, okay, I have to stop my patient from taking this because they're going to go for blood work. So what was happening is the FDA released a warning letter on biotin. Essentially, you probably don't even realize it, but if you go and look at some of your other supplements, biotin is put in like everything. They put it in a lot. and patients were having essentially mega doses. So they were at about 300,000 micrograms. That's a really, really high dose of biotin. And it was giving, for example, like thyroid, if you were going for like a thyroid test, it was giving like false positive or false negative. So the FDA put out this warning on biotin. And so that's kind of where you'll maybe hear doctors say you have to, I can't put my patient on it, or they need to stop a few days before. I mean, if they're uncomfortable and they want them to go for a blood test, okay. But just so you know, with Nutrafol, depending on the formulation, we have 2,500 to 3,000 micrograms of biotin in our formulation. So next slide. All right, so now some of our common questions. I know that we went over this one last week. Can I take Nutrafol while pregnant or breastfeeding? The answer is no. And the reasoning behind that is we don't have any clinical data on it. So it is best that we avoid any patients from taking the product while either pregnant or breastfeeding. Are there any contraindications while using Nutrafol? This is also a question. Nutrafol is for adults 18 plus, so please keep out of reach of children. It is not suitable for women who are pregnant or breastfeeding. And if you have a medical condition or are taking prescription medications, we always advise to consult your doctor prior to using any dietary supplement, including our core formulas. And then another thing is blood thinners. So I do think somebody actually asked a question last week about warfarin and taking it. So there are several plant actives in our formula are known actually to be natural blood thinners and to help improve blood flow and circulation. So if you are prone to bleeding episodes, have a blood condition, or taking blood thinning or anticoagulant, antiplatelet drugs like Plavix or heparin, you do need to be careful. So we would advise that they speak to their doctor before considering Nutrafol. How long will patients have to take Nutrafol and why? I love this question. It makes me grin each time. And me and Matt came up with this answer. We were just kind of like, how else do you say this? But how long do I need to exercise to be healthy, right? So being healthy is essentially a lifestyle, a choice, and working out is a commitment, right? Just like your hair. You start something and you stop it, you go back. And that's the same concept here, right? So we're really confident that once you begin to see results with Nutrafol, you want to continue on this journey. And we want to continue on the journey also with our physicians in any way possible. Next slide. All right. So I did kind of cover this already, what makes us different than Viviscal. So Nutrafol is physician formulated. We have this multi-targeting component to us, where Viviscal's formulation is a mono. It only addresses the nutrition component of poor hair growth. In addition to that, we take this personalized approach, right? So both age and gender. Viviscal does have a men and women's product, but that age component is something that differentiates us huge, as well as the multi-targeting is another component. And then again, the cod. So again, we're sustainably sourced, safe, and we are not using high mercury fish like shark. And so those are the main differences. Next slide. Awesome. So I think the middle question is my favorite one, the most informative, but why would a patient buy from an office versus direct from Nutrafol.com? So Matt really nailed this one before with our Pro Pack. This Pro Pack, essentially, with our clinical studies, with our clinical studies, it was really this 3 to 6 months. So this is, going to help with compliance. In addition, you have this lower price point, right? So instead of on our website, it's $89. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt. Okay. And then with the Pro Pack, when you break it down per price, you're looking at around $66, $67. How long before patients see results? So with our clinical studies, this is essentially the timeline or that you would see for patients. So around 1 to 3 months, the strengthening hair from within. So this is really that shedding for all my ladies on here. It's definitely going to be the first thing that we tend to see. So when you're in the shower and you're brushing your hair or putting your fingers through your hair too, something that you'll see. Also men as well, you're going to see it too, and that's going to be the first thing. And then the 3 to 6 months, this is really where you're going to notice that improvement in that thickness of the hair. And then 6 months and beyond, this is really where we're going to see that coverage, right? So that's where you're seeing an hair that's very thin. You're kind of down to the skin area that you can see it. And this is where you're going to start to see that regrowth. How many pills are taken per day and why? So we do recommend 2 capsules at one time. We get this question so much. Can I split up and only take 2 a day? The answer is no, that's not what we recommend. We recommend 4. Also, we recommend to take them again all at once because of compliance, right? You kind of just forget if you're breaking these up throughout the day. Just take them all at once alongside a meal. And then, the full dosage can be opened up and put into a drink or a smoothie if you want. Most people just take them, though. I don't find it to be a problem. I think it's kind of easy. So next slide, I think that's actually it. Yeah, that's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Awesome. First off, Matt and Cheryl, thank you both so much for jumping on the call with us today. We know it's Friday. We know it's late. Look, Cheryl, turn on our camera.
You know why I didn't turn on my camera is because I have problems when it tries to do both at the same time. So I freeze. That's
funny. At the very beginning, you said, I'm very visual. I'm like, wait a minute, her camera's off. She's not very visual.
I have a squirrel problem. Welcome to New York City. And I need my internet cable fixed outside because they keep eating and then water gets in and then it's a nightmare. Anybody who lives in New York City understands squirrels.
Yeah, I understand. I used to live there. Well, before I do a summary, I just want to open it up. You guys heard a lot. You heard the product knowledge side. You now heard the sales side and the resources you have, the FAQ, the key ingredients you can hint on. Do any of you guys have questions you want to run by Matt and Cheryl while we have them on the call today?
Yes, Cheryl. Oh, this is Michael.
Yep. Hi.
Hi. Okay. Let's say that you've been on Nutrafol for 6 months and you're seeing results. You're seeing hair growth. If you stop taking it, how soon will you stop growing hair, or does it stay in your system for a while? Are you going to pretty much be on it? If you see success with Nutrafol, are you pretty much on it for the rest of your life, or do you just take it for 6 months until you start seeing growth, and then so in case the doctor happens to ask?
Yeah, so we really do recommend 6 months and beyond. Hair is really hard to treat. Anybody who knows on this call, I'm sure you're all aware, we're touching upon other products in the market. But when you're dealing with a patient who has hair loss or hair thinning, one you'll always notice the doctors kind of throwing the kitchen sink at them. They're doing PRP and lasers and a supplement. And so this is really, we do recommend 6 months and beyond. And also there's a lot within the product that is also, great. It is there too, you have your vitamin A, C, D, your biotin, selenium. So the hair component, it's this idea, like I kind of said before, it's like exercising, right? If we want this healthy lifestyle, it's not like we get into our fit bodies and then we stop and we stay fit. If you are continuing down this lifespan, right? So you're working out, you're eating healthy, you look good, then you stop working out and you stop eating healthy. The same concept there. So it is in our studies, do demonstrate that 6 months is really and then plus.
kind of a hard
I
question,
want
kind of a hard question to answer though, because I know it's not like we have a particular study where we tested growth up until a certain time, like 6 or 9 months, and then looked at if someone stopped and then measured the result after. So it's not something we can speak to based on a study or anything like that, but it goes to what Cheryl said, which is really that gym analogy. And if you're getting those results 6 months and beyond, then same way you would continue to work out, eat healthy, you would probably want to continue on with Nutrafol as that lifestyle change.
Okay, and then I have one more quick question. We talked about PRP. It's kind of like a common use, correct, to help increase hair growth. Have you guys heard of any physicians using any type of placenta amniotic injections, fluid, grafts type?
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely speak to, actually, both Cheryl and I have experience with a PRP company previously. And, you know, we definitely see a synergy with Nutrafol and nutraceuticals in general, and PRP, also like laser caps, low light laser therapy. It kind of fits in that moderate modality and this new wave for hair regrowth, hair restoration, pre-surgical option like FUE. And also all natural, right? PRP is autologous from your own blood, and this is all natural ingredients. So they're really, you know, a lot of our BDMs and our reps, they really focus on some of the offices that are doing PRP, that are open to offering PRP conditions. They make for a perfect synergy. As for amnio, I haven't seen specifically amnio versus PRP done with Nutrafol. I know we don't have any studies on that, but definitely they work beautifully together, synergistically together, PRP, Nutrafol, and some of the cap companies out there too.
Okay, all right. I was just wondering about the whole placenta amniotic, the cryo injectables.
Sure.
Because they use a lot of stuff for grafts, for wounds. So anyway, that was my question. Thanks.
Got it. Great question, Michael. I think you stumped us all.
Well, if I heard that there might be 1 or 2 physicians that are trying to use this to help restore hair. I'm going to try to get more information on this with these amniotics, because they are a good product. I see them used a lot in the OR for all types of things. There's a ton of these biologic companies out there. But I had heard that there was a couple of physicians that were trying to use this product. Now, that product is very, very expensive as well, the injectables.
I mean, think about the multifactorial approach we take with all those triggers we address with our ingredients. And if you combine it with a PRP or an amnio product, think of it as like a super multifactorial, right? Because you're getting a lot of the cytokines and chemokines and signaling cells, and combine that with all the triggers that we would go after with our ingredients. I mean, it's again, they just work really nicely together.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Good question. Any other questions?
I do. And Miguel, I wanted to tell you, at our clinic, we call it the 3 amigos. We like to have like the injury itself, whether it's microneedling with PRP or injections with PRP, or Hydrofacial's new Caravive, just to clean out the scalp and the follicles. And then you have like a spray that goes on top, which is just a nice stimulant, that just like the cherry on top, but the real cherry on top is actually on the bottom, which is a nutraceutical from Nutrafol. And so you have those 3 things that go together. And actually there's a 4th thing, which is just massaging your skin at home and doing some headstands and getting some blood flow, like natural blood flow. I can always tell when someone does yoga, I'm like, your hair looks amazing. I'm like, oh, because they go inverted all the time. But all those things work so synergistically together. Like, as I tell people, like, you shouldn't skip one at all. And there's not one thing that's just going to do all of it. But it also comes down to people's budget. And if someone ever had to leave the clinic, I would always suggest, now that I know more about nutraceutical or Nutrafol, that over anything else, and then being able to add those other things on as you can do it. But Matthew, my question for you was, hold on, I had 3 questions for you, and you already Miguel answered one of them. Oh, when people say, how long should you take this? So what I never hear from patients is when I recommend the 2 best things you can ever take, which is a retinol and vitamin C. No one ever asks, how long should I take this? Because it's just baked in. This has been baked in for the longest time. Like, these are the 2 things that you need to take for anti-aging. So if you compare it also, besides the gym analogy, if you compare it also to that, no one will ever ask that. So that will help people, especially women who know to take their vitamin C after 50, who are taking that vitamin C and retinol religiously. But I noticed, I was looking at your price point on your website and on Amazon. I love that your price point is higher than what providers will offer, because when patients are numbing, when they're in their waiting room, when they're waiting for the doctor, they are looking up what you recommended before they're checking out. And I love that it's high. I couldn't find it for what you're recommending. That is rare. And so kudos to you guys for doing that, because patients are going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
And
we took a thoughtful approach with that. You know, we knew that
that's smart.
we started our company with the direct-to-consumer channel, and we really built the brand that way. But now we're really focusing on building out our professional channel led by Kelly. So we knew we wanted to position the pricing that way, and especially with that 3-pack, and that's a significant savings, 66 per bottle compared to that 89 per bottle you would find.
But also your product being a little bit higher. I love the graph that you made, because that is going to be necessary. I explain like the comparison between a chemical sunscreen versus a physical sunscreen. When you explain that a chemical sunscreen turns off after 2 hours and a physical sunscreen is on you for as long as you have it on. Once you explain something like that and why the price point, like if we can, like if our reps can, and all of us can explain why it's higher, it's a no-brainer. And then we pass that information on to providers, which can easily in like 30 seconds pass it on to patients. So that graph you made is a lifesaver for us to sell.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Combine it with the broad focus, that multifactorial approach, combined with the clinical studies as well. Like Viviscal has a clinical foundation. They do have studies, but it's such a narrow focus. It's just that marine collagen, that nutrition component to the scalp. So we have that multifactorial approach over them. And then with a company like Eclipse with their Votest product, they just have the one product. It's not personalized. They don't have a men's, a women's balance. And it's a broad focus like ours. It's like a copycat formula, but not clinically studied. They really just put it on the market, and they don't have any science backing behind it. So yeah, there's definitely ways to explain why we're at a higher price point. And we like to present ourselves as more of the like luxury brand of everything.
But thank you for taking the time to break it down in that graph, because clearly when sales reps walk in, they gotta be quick, and showing that is piece of cake. So thank you for that visual.
Of course.
Very good point. Any more questions? Anybody? All right. If not, then I'm going to do a quick summary so we can make sure we're all on the same page. And again, Cheryl and thank you guys for jumping on the call. First thing, if you haven't done so yet, in your respective market, go on the Nutrafol Physician Locator. It's going to tell you where all of their accounts are. Now, this is important because you don't want to stroll into an office and find out by chance that they carry Nutrafol. And then you have to think about what your strategy is going to be. If you know ahead of time that they are a Nutrafol account, you can customize your approach to that call. Also, I've been talking with Matt yesterday and with Aisha. You know, there are a number of BDMs around the country, and they're our friends. They're not anybody to worry about or feel like you're competitive with. They're your friends. In fact, you should partner with your local Nutrafol BDM. The reason for that is in accounts where Nutrafol is already well established, it could open the door for you to sell all the other products. How beautiful is it to transition from Nutrafol right into Ben Beauty? They have very similar philosophies. They target different aspects in dermatology and healthcare, but they complement each other. It gives you an opportunity to dovetail into our procedure care with Strat Pharma and Cytoactive. So think about how you're going to position yourself. Conversely, we have a lot of accounts that Nutrafol is not in. So we can partner together. You may want to bring in the Nutrafol BDM to help you out. If you got a very important account that you can open, that has multiple locations, but you don't feel absolutely confident about your product knowledge, I can tell you right now, Matt and Aisha, myself, Kelly, we'll all jump on a call. We'll go into that meeting with you if it happen to be in our local market because of the value that that's going to open. So just know that this is a real, genuine partnership. We are together in this. When you're in there, if you don't have a BDM, remember that you're a brand ambassador. You're there to make sure where Nutrafol doesn't have somebody that those accounts are not being ignored or left behind. There may be issues, there may be opportunities for you to provide service to that account and triage that order over to Nutrafol, or relay to Matt, hey, this one account is having an issue. Can I get you on the phone with them? And I guarantee you, Matt's going to pick up the phone in 5 minutes. He's going to get on with them and help resolve that issue. So we leverage that relationship, and we leverage our role as brand ambassadors to then springboard into the other wonderful products that we have. So that's the relationship. And it's really important to know that we're working together on this. All the 3-packs. This is really an opportunity where you guys can stand out. These are called the Pro Pack. Tremendous value in terms of not only what they save off of the price that they see online, but it gives them a competitive advantage. And as Mandy said, the last thing that any provider wants to do is get on their phone and Google Nutrafol and find out they can get it for cheaper online. That's a promise that they're going to walk you right out the door. You lose credibility. So it's really important to distinguish that this is only available in the professional channel. It's just for you guys. And I'm glad Nutrafol thought about that way ahead of time, because that's a big issue. Wait, can you read my own handwriting? Oh, so next week we have the educational webinar, and I'm actually going to send this invitation over to Matt and Cheryl, and I'd love if you guys can e-blast it out, because Nutrafol is going to be featured in my talk, and it most likely will be mentioned by our medical director. And our medical director is a big believer in Nutrafol, and she's world-renowned in terms of her approach to hair. But this is the most recent e-blast. So we each day we have a different e-blast that goes out that features a different aspect. One e-blast featured Dr. Wendy Roberts. Another one featured Aesthetic MD. This was like, who's this crazy guy that started this? And it just gives them a teaser, like, what is Aesthetic MD? A novel company that brings innovative products and devices to providers of aesthetic services. That's Nutrafol. Aesthetic MD represents emerging companies, novel science, and timely innovations to serve the needs accounts have today and in the very near future. It focuses on 5 verticals, including procedure care, topicals, supplements and ingestibles, medical devices, and specialty products. So if you scroll down a little bit, right there in the middle, you see learn about our supplements and ingestibles to support beauty from the inside out. So that speaks to Nutrafol, it speaks to Ben Beauty, and it distinguishes different verticals. And you also see on there Oxygenetics. So we did finalize our agreement with Oxygenetics yesterday. Took about a month. We had to iron out a couple little hiccups, but Oxygenetics has decided that Aesthetic MD needs to be their exclusive partner in reaching, marketing, to educating, and lifting their business in this channel. So you guys are all going to be trained in the coming weeks on Oxygenetics, and that's one additional platform. We also see GoMD, two other companies that are most likely going to be joining us. One is called Health Monitor, and another one is called Friend Media. So those will fall into the specialty products category. And then the last bit is just who your speakers are. So it'll be Wendy Roberts. She's going to share her example of how she stayed open during COVID-19, what she did beautifully to make sure her staff and employees were protected. All patients were isolated and validated whether they had COVID-19 or not. As a result, she was able to stay open and stay busy the entire time. There are a lot of practices that are open, more than you realize. NASA and I were talking about New Jersey and New York and just how difficult it is, but I've talked to 3 or 4 doctors in the past couple of weeks. They've stayed open the entire time. Their ability to do that is because they, in addition to being a board certified dermatologist, they're also essential workers, which means maybe they're a trauma surgeon, or maybe they're involved with some aspect that distinguishes them, but that allows them to stay open. One of the biggest ones is Dr. Goldberg, and he's got offices in New York and a couple in New Jersey. In New York, they closed, but their New Jersey offices have been busier than ever. In fact, May, they grew 5% over what they did 1 year ago. So we need to know that getting in front of these doctors face to face may not be a reality for a while. So the question is for us, for Nutrafol, for any company, how do we get in front of these doctors? How do we create awareness? So the direct-to-door campaign that Nutrafol launched a couple months ago allowed them to keep business going, and they kept sales coming in. Because if you're a typical person in isolation, you are obsessing about your healthcare. You're like, what can I do? Should I do yoga? Should I meditate? Should I become a vegan like Mandy? Should I take nutraceuticals? Hey, I wanted to work on my hair. So Nutrafol was way ahead of the curve and like, let's make sure we get this right to the patient's door. Brilliant move. So we're doing an educational series. We have reps on the team right now that have been doing Zoom calls of their own, getting accounts on. David Woods was able to open up a Nutrafol account because he followed up on a lead. He called him, got them on the phone. He did a Zoom call. And last month, we were able to send an opening order over to Matt for a new account in Alabama. David lives in Hawaii. But this just tells you what we can do. You don't have to limit yourself only to your neighborhood. But we have to rethink how we approach accounts, because the old days of getting in 10 calls a day may not be realistic for a long time. That's one of the reasons why a lot of companies had to lay people. So elevate your skills to the new reality. This is what we're going to train on. Beyond learning the products, beyond learning all the amazing points that Cheryl and Matt gave us, we have to elevate our ability to get in front of accounts. So think about that, because you're going to hear me harp on it a lot. And some of you that are out there, I know Michael Vellis, he's been out there hustling in the OR and trying to break down doors and get in front of derms and in the midst of all this going on. And he's finding traction, and others are as well. So those were my last key points. The last one is I want to get 3 to 5 brand new Nutrafol accounts between the 24th, when we have our big educational webinar, and the end of July. 3 to 5. So Matt, you heard that.
I did.
15 of us out there right now. So that's going to be 45 to 5 times 50, 75. 45 to 75 new accounts. Cheryl will hunt us down if we don't do it. She's from New York. They don't mess around.
All right, I'm holding you to that, James. I'm entering into
Don't
the
mess around. So
database.
we didn't form this company just so we could all sit at home and hopefully collect a revenue stream. We got to work. We got to make it happen. We have to hustle. It's the only way Aesthetic MD is going to work. And our promise to Nutrafol is we're going to make X number of calls. We're going to open accounts. We're going to grow existing accounts. Someday I'm going to go back to Matt and Kelly and George's and Roland and say, give us credit for that existing business. Come on, do this. We can grow it. But we haven't earned that right. I haven't earned the right to go back and do that yet. So that's only going to happen if you guys help me out. So that's it. That's my little 10-minute sermon. Questions for any of us before we wrap up and start our weekends?
Let's make some money.
Let's do. Hey, I like that. I don't know who that was, but let's do that.
Miami Michael.
All right, and just know that you guys can, when it gets busy end of month, which we're coming into, if you're hustling and you got an order, but you don't have time to get it in, just triage it over to Curtis. Curtis does an amazing job of upselling. We just upsold an account in Atlanta. They wanted to order 150 tubes. So we upsold them on just about double. So we can help you guys out. Just empower us to do that. Other than that, Matt and Cheryl, any parting words of wisdom?
No, just want to thank you, James and Curtis and the team. You know, like I said, we're thrilled to collaborate. Just, you know, there's not much more to add beyond everything you said, but we'll definitely help blast that email out. And yeah, we're just excited to team up, and we want to help support the team however we can, provide you guys whatever materials you need. If you need any further training, any other information, if you have a question for anyone at Nutrafol, I'll jump on a call. Aisha will out west, Cheryl, any one of our team members. We're happy to support you guys. We want to grow this together, and we want everything you said, James. We want to grow this out and help and become a true huge collaboration and success story between the two of us. So thank you for having us. Hopefully this was a helpful presentation, and hopefully everyone got some good tidbits that they can take from this and helps them with their sales and selling to their doctors. And yeah, and again, just please reach out if you need anything.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys. Everyone have a great weekend coming up. And next week, send this invite out to every doctor that you know. Send it to veterinarians too. They might get something out of it.
Thanks,
All
you
right.
guys.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Matthew and Cheryl.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Father's Day.
Bye, everyone. Have a good weekend.